Have you ever paused to truly consider if you're storing your precious food in a way that genuinely honors its inherent nature, its delicate chemistry, and in a manner that maximizes its nutritional benefits specifically for you at this stage of life? Today, we are going to gently uncover a truth that might indeed surprise you, a simple yet potent understanding that could beautifully transform not only your physical health, but also your everyday enjoyment of the meals that grace your table. We will explore 3 common foods that, contrary to what many of us have been taught or assumed, should never feel the penetrating chill of your refrigerator. And just as importantly, we will identify 3 others that absolutely must be kept consistently cold to protect your health and preserve their quality. I warmly urge you, please stay with me through this entire exploration, because the final food we discuss that requires meticulous refrigeration is one that so many of us rely upon almost daily, a true cornerstone of many diets. Understanding how to store this particular item correctly is absolutely paramount, not just for its longevity, but for your continued safety and vitality. This journey isn't merely about preventing spoilage, though that is a part of it. It's about safeguarding those precious, often delicate nutrients, about enhancing the natural, delightful flavors that make eating a joy, and most importantly, about actively safeguarding your overall well-being. Let us embark on this gentle, insightful exploration together, bringing more awareness into our kitchens. Our very first food, a vibrant, sun-ripened jewel often found gracing our kitchen counters and salad bowls, is the humble yet truly magnificent tomato. So many of us, with the very best of intentions, automatically tuck our newly purchased tomatoes into the crisper drawer of the refrigerator, sincerely believing we are extending their freshness and preserving their quality. However, this common practice, born from a well-meaning desire to prevent spoilage, actually achieves quite the opposite for the tomato's true, intended essence. You see, tomatoes, especially the flavorful heirloom varieties, are quite sensitive souls, particularly averse to the consistent, dry cold. When a tomato is exposed to temperatures below approximately 12 degrees Celsius or about 54 degrees Fahrenheit, which are typical temperatures found within most home refrigerators, a series of rather unfortunate biochemical changes begins to unfold. The pervasive cold air actively and quite effectively halts the natural, intricate ripening process. Those delicate, complex enzymes that are tirelessly working to develop the tomato's characteristic nuanced sweetness, its lively, balancing acidity, and its wonderfully inviting, summery aroma are essentially put into a state of suspended animation, their beneficial work curtailed. This means that a tomato picked slightly underripe will likely never reach its full flavor potential if immediately refrigerated. More than just halting the ripening, the cold, dry air can cause tangible physical damage to the delicate membranes within the fruit's intricate cell walls. This structural damage inevitably leads to an unwelcome change in texture. That firm, yielding, juicy bite you eagerly anticipate can become disappointingly mealy, unpleasantly soft, almost granular, and sadly pulpy. The vibrant, sun-kissed, complex flavor profile you crave diminishes significantly, often replaced by a muted blandness, a mere shadow of what a room temperature, fully ripened tomato can offer. This loss of flavor can be particularly noticeable and impactful. For us seniors, whose sense of taste and smell might naturally be subtly softening with time, preserving and enhancing the full, rich flavor profile of our food becomes incredibly important for continued enjoyment and appetite stimulation. A truly flavorful tomato can beautifully enliven a simple salad, deeply enrich a comforting sauce, or stand alone as a joyous, refreshing snack. It can encourage a healthy appetite and transform ordinary meals into more pleasurable, anticipated experiences. This sensory engagement is vital for overall well-being and satisfaction from our food. Instead of the refrigerator, find a gentle, welcoming spot on your countertop for your whole tomatoes, ideally away from the harsh glare of direct sunlight, which can cause them to overheat and spoil too quickly. Arranging them in a single layer in a shallow bowl or a breathable basket allows for good air circulation, preventing moisture buildup. Allow them to breathe and to complete their ripening journey at their own pace. At normal room temperature, they will continue to mature gracefully, their natural sugars will further develop, their volatile aromatic compounds will flourish, and their texture will remain appealing. If you find they are ripening more quickly than you can comfortably use them, then, and only then, you might consider transferring them to the refrigerator for perhaps a day or two, purely to slow down any further advanced ripening and prevent spoilage. However, it is crucial to always allow these refrigerated tomatoes to return fully to room temperature for at least an hour or even longer before you plan to eat them. This simple step can help to reclaim some of their diminished flavor and improve their texture. By respecting the tomato's inherent nature in this way, you ensure that you receive not just its valuable nutrients like lycopene and vitamin C, but also its full, vibrant spirit and taste. Next on our list of common foods that decidedly prefer to remain outside the cold, dry embrace of the modern refrigerator are potatoes. These wonderfully earthy staples, so incredibly versatile in our kitchens and a source of comforting nourishment for generations, possess a particular biochemical composition that reacts rather unfavorably to prolonged cold storage. When potatoes, whether they be russets, yukons, reds or fingerlings, are kept at typical refrigerated temperatures, usually below 4 degrees Celsius or 40 degrees Fahrenheit, their complex starches begin a slow, steady conversion into simpler sugars, predominantly sucrose. While this conversion to sugar might initially sound appealing, perhaps even desirable, it actually leads to several undesirable changes in both their culinary taste and their cooking properties. The potatoes can develop an uncharacteristically and often unpleasantly sweet taste that clashes with their naturally earthy flavor profile. Furthermore, their texture can be significantly altered. Instead of becoming fluffy when baked or creamy when mashed, cold-stored potatoes can turn out waxy, sometimes even a bit gritty or watery when cooked, which is often not the desired outcome for most recipes. Furthermore, and this is a point of particular note for health-conscious individuals, this increased sugar content resulting from cold storage can lead to the formation of significantly higher levels of a compound called acrylamide when these potatoes are subsequently fried, roasted, baked or air-fried at high temperatures, typically above 120 degrees Celsius or 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Acrylamide is a chemical that can form in some starchy foods during high-temperature cooking processes, and while research is ongoing, it is generally considered prudent to minimize its intake. For seniors, maintaining stable blood sugar levels is often a key health consideration. While the sugar conversion in cold-stored potatoes isn't usually drastic enough to cause immediate, significant alarm in that specific regard for most individuals, the primary concerns remain the substantial degradation of their culinary quality, the textural changes, and the increased potential for acrylamide formation during cooking. Potatoes truly thrive in an environment that mimics their ancestral storage, a cool, dark, dry, and well-ventilated place. Think of the conditions of a traditional root cellar, storing them in a paper bag which allows for some breathability, a wicker basket, a burlap sack, or even a perforated vegetable bag kept in a dark pantry, a cool cupboard away from heat-generating appliances like ovens or dishwashers, or perhaps a cool, dry corner of a basement or garage, provided it's temperature appropriate and secure from pests, is ideal. It is very important to avoid storing potatoes in plastic bags, as these trap moisture, creating a damp environment that can encourage premature sprouting, mold growth, and accelerated spoilage. Also, it's a wise kitchen practice to keep your potatoes stored separately from onions. Onions, as they age, naturally release ethylene gas, a plant hormone that acts as a ripening agent. When potatoes are exposed to this ethylene gas, it can stimulate them to sprout much more quickly than they otherwise would, reducing their storage life and quality. By storing your potatoes correctly, in a manner that respects their needs, you preserve their natural starchy goodness, their desirable fluffy or firm texture depending on the specific variety, and their intended comforting earthy flavor, ensuring they continue to contribute wholesomely and deliciously to your nourishing meals without unintended alterations. We've now explored two very common kitchen staples, tomatoes and potatoes, that are demonstrably best kept out of the refrigerator to preserve their optimal texture, their fullest flavor, and their inherent beneficial properties. Understanding these simple, yet impactful, nuances allows us to engage more mindfully and respectfully with the food that nourishes us, ensuring we derive the maximum pleasure and health benefits from it. But our journey of discovery in the kitchen doesn't end here. The next food, or rather food group, we'll discuss that also shuns the cold is one that many of us use as a flavor foundation almost daily, and its proper storage is absolutely key to maintaining its pungent power and longevity. And then, immediately following that, we will pivot our focus to those absolutely crucial items that not only benefit from, but truly demand the consistent chill of your refrigerator, including one everyday item that, if mishandled through improper temperature control, can quickly become a hidden and serious risk within your kitchen. Please stay with us, as these subsequent insights are truly vital for maintaining not just an organized, but a fundamentally healthy and harmonious kitchen environment. Our third and final food for this never refrigerate category, or more accurately, a dynamic duo of aromatic powerhouses, are onions and garlic. These indispensable members of the allium family, which also includes leeks, shallots and chives, are truly foundational to so many diverse global cuisines, lending incredible depth, complexity and character to countless savory dishes. Much like potatoes, whole, unpeeled onions and garlic bulbs prefer a cool, dark, dry, and exceptionally well-ventilated environment. And for very similar reasons related to moisture and air circulation, the refrigerator is decidedly not their friend when they are in their intact, whole form. When whole, unpeeled onions, be they yellow, white, red, or sweet varieties, and intact heads of garlic are stored within the consistently cold and relatively humid environment of a typical refrigerator, they become prone to absorbing excess moisture from the surrounding air. This unwelcome moisture absorption can cause them to become prematurely soft, even mushy, and creates an ideal breeding ground for mold. You might notice onions developing slimy layers or garlic cloves turning soft and discolored. This dampness can also encourage them to sprout far more quickly than they would in a drier setting. The internal layers of an onion might turn unappetizingly translucent and develop a rubbery texture, while garlic cloves can become shriveled, sprout green shoots from their centers, or develop unsightly dark spots indicating spoilage. Beyond these textural issues, the cold fundamentally alters their complex chemistry and can significantly dull their potent, characteristic flavors. The very pungency, the sharp bite of raw onion, the sweet mellowness of cooked onion, and the robust, aromatic complexity of garlic qualities that make them so invaluable in cooking can be noticeably compromised and muted by refrigeration. For seniors who may increasingly rely on these strong, distinct flavors to enhance their meals, stimulate a perhaps waning appetite, and make food more appealing, preserving the full integrity of these alliums is particularly important. Furthermore, the strong, pervasive odors of onions and garlic can very easily permeate other, more delicate foods stored nearby in the confined space of a refrigerator. Dairy products like milk and butter, fresh fruits, and even some baked goods can absorb these aromas, resulting in unwanted and often unpleasant flavor transfers. The ideal storage solution for whole, unpeeled onions and garlic is to keep them in a place that allows for excellent air circulation. A mesh bag, a wire basket, a traditional string of garlic, or even an open paper bag, never plastic, stored in a cool, dark pantry, a well-ventilated cupboard away from sunlight and moisture, is perfect. It's also beneficial to store them separately from potatoes, as mentioned earlier, due to the ethylene gas onions emit. However, it is crucial to note that once an onion or a garlic clove has been cut, chopped, or peeled, the storage rules change completely. At that point, any unused portions must be tightly wrapped in plastic wrap, placed in an airtight container, or sealed in a zip-top bag, and then stored in the refrigerator. These cut portions should be used within a few days for best quality and safety, but for whole, intact bulbs, allow them to reside happily outside the cold, thus preserving their firm texture, their robust, delightful flavor, and their naturally remarkable shelf life, ensuring they are always ready to impart their unique culinary magic to your cooking endeavors. Now let us gently turn our attention and focus towards those foods for which the cool sanctuary of the refrigerator is not merely an option or a preference, but an absolute, non-negotiable necessity, especially when we are diligently considering the health and well-being of seniors. The first, and perhaps most universally critical, category here is that of cooked leftovers. After we have prepared and enjoyed a nourishing, delicious meal, any remaining portions must be treated with utmost care and profound respect to swiftly and effectively prevent the dangerous growth of harmful bacteria. Foodborne illness, often caused by common bacteria like Staphylococcus aureus, Salmonella, or Clostridium perfringens multiplying in improperly stored food, can be particularly challenging and even perilous for older adults. As we age, our immune systems may naturally become less robust, and our bodies may have a harder time fighting off infections. The consequences of food poisoning can range from uncomfortable digestive upset to more severe complications requiring medical attention. It's a risk we must conscientiously minimize. The temperature range widely recognized as the danger zone for accelerated bacterial growth in food is typically between 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is approximately 4 degrees Celsius, and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, which is approximately 60 degrees Celsius. Leaving cooked food sitting out at room temperature for extended periods, especially in warmer kitchens, allows any bacteria that might have survived the cooking process or been introduced afterwards to multiply with alarming rapidity, potentially reaching levels that can cause significant illness if ingested. Therefore, the guiding rule is clear, simple, and vital. All cooked leftovers should be cooled down as quickly as is practical and then refrigerated promptly. The general guideline is to get them into the refrigerator ideally within 2 hours of the food finishing cooking. This window shortens to just 1 hour if the ambient room temperature is particularly warm, such as above 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 degrees Celsius, as might occur during a summer picnic or in a hot kitchen. Delaying refrigeration beyond these timeframes significantly increases the risk. To facilitate more rapid and even cooling, which is essential for safety, it's a very helpful practice to divide large quantities of food, such as a big pot of soup, stew, or a large casserole, into several smaller, shallower containers before placing them in the refrigerator. This increases the surface area exposed to the cold air, allowing the food to cool down to a safe temperature much more quickly than if it were left in one large, deep mass. Ensure these containers are airtight, using lids that seal well, or by covering them tightly with plastic wrap or aluminum foil. This not only prevents cross-contamination from other foods in the refrigerator, but also helps to maintain the moisture content and quality of the leftovers. When it comes time to enjoy these leftovers, reheating them properly is just as crucial as storing them correctly. It's imperative to heat them thoroughly to an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 74 degrees Celsius, to effectively kill any bacteria that might have managed to develop during storage. The most reliable way to ensure this safe internal temperature is reached is by using a food thermometer inserted into the thickest part of the food. Properly stored and reheated leftovers are a wonderful, convenient resource, allowing for easy, nutritious subsequent meals, significantly reducing food waste, which is both economically and environmentally responsible, and saving valuable time and energy in the kitchen. But their safety and wholesomeness hinge entirely upon diligent, prompt refrigeration and thorough, proper reheating. Never, ever attempt to taste food to determine if it's safe to eat. You cannot see, smell, or taste the specific bacteria that cause food poisoning. When in any doubt whatsoever about the safety of a leftover item, it is always, without exception, wisest to discard it. Your refrigerator is your steadfast ally in keeping these convenient and often delicious encore meals both safe and wholesome for your enjoyment. We've now firmly established the critical, non-negotiable importance of promptly and correctly refrigerating all cooked leftovers to diligently safeguard against the risks of foodborne illness. This fundamental principle of cold storage, maintaining temperatures below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 degrees Celsius, extends with equal importance to other categories of vulnerable food items that frequent our kitchens. The next broad category of foods that unequivocally belong in the consistently cool environment of your refrigerator is one that provides a wealth of essential nutrients, particularly vital for bone health and overall strength, but can also quickly become a source of considerable concern if not handled with meticulous care. And please do remember, the final food item we will discuss in detail, a true kitchen staple for so many of us across the globe, is one whose proper cold storage is absolutely non-negotiable for your continued health, vitality, and peace of mind. You truly won't want to miss this essential piece of information, as it pertains to a food consumed almost daily in many households. The second crucial category of foods that absolutely must be kept consistently cold encompasses most dairy products. Items such as fresh milk, whether cow's milk, goat's milk, or plant-based alternatives that require refrigeration after opening, creamy yogurt, a wide variety of cheeses, especially soft, unripened, or fresh cheeses, rich cream and churned butter are staples in many diets around the world. They are prized for providing valuable calcium essential for bone density, high-quality protein for muscle maintenance and repair, and important vitamins like D often fortified in milk and B12. However, the inherent composition of these dairy products, their moisture content and nutrient richness, makes them highly susceptible to rapid bacterial growth if they are left at room temperature for too long. The cool, consistent and controlled environment of the refrigerator, maintained at or below 40 degrees Fahrenheit 4 degrees Celsius, significantly slows down the proliferation of these potentially harmful microorganisms, thereby extending the safe shelf life of dairy products and, most importantly, keeping them safe for you to consume. For seniors, maintaining robust bone health is particularly paramount to prevent fractures and maintain mobility, and dairy products often serve as a key dietary source of easily absorbable calcium. Ensuring these products are always fresh, properly stored, and safe allows for their consistent and beneficial inclusion in a well-balanced daily diet. When purchasing any dairy products, it is always a prudent habit to carefully check the sell-by or use-by dates printed on the packaging. Once these products are opened, it's important to adhere to the recommended storage times, which are often shorter than the unopened shelf life. For instance, fresh milk should ideally be stored on an interior shelf of the refrigerator, rather than in the door compartments. The temperature in the refrigerator door can fluctuate more significantly due to frequent opening and closing, and it tends to be slightly warmer than the main body of the fridge. The interior shelves, particularly towards the back, maintain a more consistent and reliably colder temperature, which is better for preserving milk's freshness. Yogurt, cottage cheese, ricotta, cream cheese, and other soft cheeses should be kept in their original containers whenever possible, tightly sealed after each use. If the original packaging is damaged or not resealable, transfer the contents to a clean, airtight container. Hard cheeses, such as cheddar, Parmesan, or Swiss, generally have a longer shelf life due to their lower moisture content. However, they still benefit greatly from refrigeration and should be wrapped well in cheese paper, wax paper, or plastic wrap to prevent them from drying out, absorbing other odors from the fridge, or developing mold on cut surfaces. Butter, while some individuals may prefer to keep a small amount at room temperature for immediate spreadability, is best stored in the refrigerator for longer periods, especially in warmer climates or kitchens, to prevent it from becoming rancid, which alters its flavor and quality. Spoiled dairy products can cause significant digestive upset, including symptoms like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal cramps, and in some cases, more severe illness. The signs of spoilage in dairy, such as a noticeably sour smell, an off flavor, a change in texture, for example, milk becoming lumpy or yogurt becoming watery with an unusual tang, or visible mold growth, should never, ever be ignored. By diligently and consistently refrigerating your dairy products, you protect not only their delicate quality and enjoyable flavor, but most crucially, your health. This simple practice ensures these nutrient-rich foods remain beneficial, safe, and wholesome components of your daily nourishment and enjoyment. Our final and exceptionally important food item that unequivocally demands the cool, protective sanctuary of your refrigerator is one that serves as a veritable powerhouse of high-quality nutrition, is incredibly versatile in culinary applications, and stands as a common, beloved feature in breakfasts, baking endeavors, and countless other meals across many cultures: eggs. While there are indeed varying cultural practices around the world regarding egg storage, with some countries and regions commonly keeping fresh, unwashed eggs at room temperature for seniors, particularly in regions such as the United States where eggs are typically washed and sanitized prior to sale, refrigeration is by far the safest and most strongly recommended practice. The commercial washing process, while intended to remove dirt and potential contaminants from the shell surface, also effectively removes the egg's natural protective coating, a thin layer called the bloom or cuticle. This natural bloom helps to seal the pores of the eggshell, acting as a barrier to prevent bacteria from easily entering the egg. Without this protective layer, washed eggs become more vulnerable to potential contamination from bacteria present in the environment. Refrigeration at temperatures consistently at or below 40 degrees Fahrenheit 4 degrees Celsius significantly inhibits and slows the growth of such bacteria, most notably Salmonella, which can sometimes be present on the exterior of the shell or, in rare instances, inside the egg itself if the hen was infected.